Alright everybody, welcome back. So, sorry it's been a minute since I've uploaded anything with the holidays and everything going on. Really just kind of took a break from it, especially with everything going on with Rosalind's arm and stuff like that. So today, to kind of jump back into things, we are going to be doing something pretty exciting. I've done this recipe a couple of different times now, and it is just awesome. So we are going to be making some deer stew. Now, to do this, it's kind of an involved process. We do things a little bit differently. So we do everything as low carb as possible. So we don't use potatoes. Instead, we use turnips and rutabaga. And instead of using cornstarch to thicken it up at the end, we use xanthan gum. Again, we're just trying to do everything as low carb as humanly possible. Stick around. I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff cut up, and then we got to brown the meat up, and from that point it's just mix it and let it cook. So stick around. Alright, well, the onions are cut up. Now, I realized I wasn't very clear. When I brown the meat up, I'm going to actually be cooking in 2 cloves of garlic and 1.5 onions in with the meat. It just helps give a little bit more flavor to the meat. So that, what I just cut up here, oh man, my eyes are watering. Oh goodness. This is going to help flavor the meat. The rest of this is going to go in after the fact. So I got that part done. I'm going to go ahead and cut up the rest of our vegetables, and we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, now the first thing we need to do is actually brown up the meat. For this recipe, I'm going to be using a total of 4 pounds of meat. I'm going to be using 2 pounds of stew meat from the deer that I got down at Kincaid Lake. And I'm also going to be using 2 pounds of cubed sirloin steak. Just adds a nice consistency. So to start, we'll add an entire stick of butter. And we're going to let that melt. While that's doing that, we're going to add in our onions. Again, this seems like a lot, but that's 4 pounds of meat that we have to get seasoned up. So let's let that melt down. And start kind of cooking this. Now again, for this recipe, we are using red onions, half of a red onion and 1 whole sweet yellow onion. And we recommend using 1 clove of garlic for every pound of meat that you're using. So in this case, we're going to use 4 cloves of garlic, and that looks about right. So I'm just going to add that whole jar. I actually had fresh garlic, however, it had been sitting in my kitchen for a while, and it just didn't look and smell right, so we're just going to use this freeze-dried garlic instead. And we're going to let this butter melt down, and we'll add in the meat here momentarily. Alright, well it looks like the butter is melted down enough. We are going to go ahead and add in our meat, and you'll see why I use so many onions. First we'll add in the sirloin. Stir that up a little bit. And we'll add in the deer meat. Alright, that's 1 pound. Okay. Alright, from here, you just need to keep stirring it and try to get all the meat browned up. Get a nice sear on the outside. I almost forgot, we're going to be adding in this seasoning here. This was actually our Christmas gift from our neighbor last year. It is their secret recipe grilling seasoning. Honestly, I don't know what's in it. However, from what I've gathered, it's a lot of pepper, salt, and probably some garlic powder, some garlic salt in there as well. So I'm just going to add this liberally. That was a lot. Let's stir that in. But we're going to add that in there and stir it in the rest of the way while the meat continues to brown up. Make sure we got a good flavor on the meat before we add in the beef broth and our root vegetables. Okay, now that our meat is browned up, we're going to go ahead and add 32 ounces or 4 cups of beef stock. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm actually going to add in my root vegetables. This is just carrots, turnips, and rutabaga. As I did mention earlier, we do this low carb, so you can actually use gold potatoes instead of turnips and rutabaga if you prefer. Add in just a bit more of this seasoning over the top, and then fill in the stock. Right now I know this looks really, really full, and it is, but everything will cook down a little bit. Now's the part I gotta be careful with. Stirring everything in. Now you can also make this in a crock pot if you'd rather do it that way. Works essentially the exact same way. I'm doing it on the stove top because this is a little bit faster. Doesn't seem to be any real difference as far as quality. So just get all this stirred in. Again, have to do this very carefully because it is very, very full. Alright, got everything mixed in. I'm going to turn this down to low as low as it'll go. I'm going to cover it, stir it periodically, and it'll be done after a while. This is so delicious. Can't wait until this is done. Alright, I'm going to check on it in an hour. So I'll see you then. Alright everybody, it has been 1 hour, so we are going to go ahead and just take a look and see what we've got. Let's take this lid off and see what happened. That's looking really good. We're just going to give this a quick stir and then put it back in for another hour. Looks good so far. Okay everybody, it has been about 2 hours and 45 minutes since the last time I gave an update. And I just checked on it, and it looks like it's about done. All of the vegetables are soft, and I can cut them with a wooden spoon, so we're going to call that good. So what we need to do now is thicken this up and make it a little bit more like the beef stew that you would get from the store out of a can. So we're going to be using xanthan gum. That being said, we did a little bit of research on this, and we're not 100% sure exactly how much we need to use to thicken this up, so we are going to do a half a teaspoon at a time, give it 15 minutes, and see how thick it becomes. So we're going to go ahead and do the first half teaspoon, stir it up, and then give it a little time, and see how much it thickens up. I have a feeling this is probably going to do it. So we'll give it a stir, turn off the stove. Alright, we'll check back here in just a minute and see how much that thickened up. Stick around. Okay, it has been 15 minutes since I put in the xanthan gum. I will be completely honest, I actually went ahead and added in another half teaspoon. So it's a full teaspoon in there right now. So we're going to go ahead and check the consistency and see what it looks like. Stir. Well, it looks a lot thicker, and it's going to continue to thicken up. Right now this is way too hot to eat either way, but alright, that's just about the right consistency. And as I mentioned, it is going to continue to thicken up as we go. So I will be back here in just a minute, and we'll be giving this a taste. Well, the stew is finally done. We're going to do the final little taste test here. As I mentioned, though, I have had this recipe before, so I know what it's pretty much going to taste like. So let's see how I did. Still very hot. It tastes just like the beef stew that you would buy in the store in the can. This turns out perfect every single time. Just the right amount of seasoning, just the right thickness on the broth. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching the video thus far. I should be back into my normal grind of things here shortly. So thank you again for watching. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button and share it with any friends you think might be interested. But as always, thank you for watching, and have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.